Today we're gonna be reviewing Soul Calibur 5 for the PS3 and 360.
You mean...
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
How long has it been? 3 years since we saw the last game of the series?
Yep, and it wasn't received too well.
Yeah. This guy over here, safe to say, didn't like it. But hey, there's a new game and who knows, maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out in this review.
Soul Calibur 5.
This time around, Soul Calibur tried to have a story mode.
Well, at least this time we're not getting a giant wall of text like in the last game. Sheesh!
Yeah, this story revolves around Patroclus trying to save his sister.
Yeah, Patroclus, for those who don't know, he's a new character that they made up, and he's the son of Sophitia, and he pretty much tries to save her, and I wish we cared. The story's not really that interesting, to be quite frank. I mean, don't you agree?
Yeah, it's 3 hours long.
Yeah, good job with that, Namco.
Yeah, horrible, horrible way to tell the story, actually.
Oh, how horrible is it? Please, tell our viewers how terrible it is.
Let's see, the cutscenes are pathetic. Storyboard cutscenes.
Yeah, don't you like it basically when you get a CG cutscene of burning villages and the main characters are going to attack and then afterwards see pretty much a still image of artwork and just, you know, narration following it? Riveting.
How unfortunate there's no way to prove it.
Yeah, 3 hours long with a really, really cheap boss.
In fact, he's so hard that the game actually makes fun of you and give you an option to lower the difficulty a la Devil May Cry 3. It's like the developer tell you, hey, you suck at this game. Here, take your pacifier, you big baby.
Yeah, it took me 30 minutes to beat this dude.
You hear this, guys?
30 minutes!
Malfested vermin have no right to live!
It's been 17 years since the events of the last Soul Calibur game. We have some new faces, some of them are really cool. For example, my personal favorite is Vi. Pretty much a big burly guy that actually summons a wolf that only has his torso and up. I don't really even know what that means, but it's freaking cool! And also a lot of other characters like Viola, which is really fun to play. That being said, they also added another slew of characters too.
Yeah, new characters. These new characters have the same fighting styles as the old characters they replaced.
So, you want to play as Taki? Do you want to play as Zhanghua? You want to play as Kilik? Well, guess what? They're not here anymore. Instead, make way to Natsu and Lake Shia and Johnny Young Bosch, yes, indeed, a lively cast of characters. Really, Namco? I mean, that's really lazy. Just giving us the same characters with a different skin? That's not even half of the problem.
Yeah, we have a bunch of copycat characters, and by that, I mean characters that copy fighting styles.
Yeah, I mean, led by our favorite Edge Master. Hi, Edge Master, what do you think about that?
So be it then. Now weak.
I thought so.
Now, fighting is pointless.
Oops.
But let's be honest, the biggest thing about the new cast of characters is just one guy that this fellow over here is really excited to talk about.
Ezio Auditore de Firenze.
The one and only! If we talk history, I mean, there have been a lot of guest characters in Soul Calibur. I mean, we have pretty much from Link and then Spawn and Heihachi.
Yeah, Heihachi.
I mean, they've been good additions, and of course there is one in particular that I wasn't really too happy about. The game takes place in the past! He should not be there! They should not doing this? Stop! You made your point! Cut it out!
Zoom, zoom, zoom. This time around, they put him in Soul Calibur 5, and they really did well on this guy. All of his weaponry, his fighting style, beautifully implemented, people. My only complaint about him is his crossbow.
Yeah, like any other guest characters that preceded him, Ezio can still be kinda cheap, but he fits so well with the franchise that I'm not really gonna hold this against him.
Vittoria gli assassini.
The most important thing about fighting game, what is the most important thing about the fighting game?
The gameplay!
That's correct! What I didn't like about Soul Calibur 4, among many other things, is the fighting system was way too complicated. They tried to introduce a lot of different things like finishing moves and armor breaks that didn't really add to the experience at all. 5, however, introduced a lot of cool new features, especially taking a cue from both Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. There's a meter actually that's pretty much like above here about. When you fill the meter up, you can do different things like block enemy attacks more efficiently. You can also perform stronger attacks called break attacks that can leave an enemy stunned. Or perhaps the coolest thing, critical attacks.
It looks so sweet. They're not really hard to pull off, and they're really flashy, and if done correctly, can really turn the tide of battle.
Personally, I have to say that Soul Calibur 5 is the most accessible game in the franchise. It's very easy to pull moves, and the whole meter implementation makes pulling off the big moves really easy.
I would have to disagree with you on that one, since this time around there's no tutorial mode. So how do you pull up most of the moves? If you're a newcomer to the series, you don't know why a horizontal attack is very useful, you don't know why a vertical attack is very useful, you don't even know why critical edge is there, or even how to pull some of the blocks.
Yes, that is true, but then again you see people, you know, who just come to a party and just mash buttons and still manage to win, so it is at least easy to get into, but I see where you're going with this. If you want to learn all the nuances of the fighting system, it'll be nice to have a nice tutorial.
Yeah, come on, Mortal Kombat had it, and it was really nice to it. Yes, a short little tutorial would have been nice to explain at least some of the moves, why the super meter is there, or what you can do with it. Most of the stuff we found out on our own.
And what's the second most important thing to a fighting game franchise?
The versus!
Playing with friends.
Get away from me. Just get away from me.
Nothing is more fun of pretty much having friends over, pretty much kicking the crap out of each other. Even though you'll probably create enemies here and there.
Genius! This is it!
Ha! I told you keep eating that game! Not only I can do that, I don't even need to use my hands to do it!
They just picked the next match. Come on, just do it!
Okay, okay. Prepared to lose again?
Battle 1. Fight.
Take this! Don't get in my way! No mercy!
Perfect.
See? What did I tell ya? I just have talents. And what's the moral of the story? Nunchucks rule.
You're right. Nunchucks do rule.
So, good times.
And everyone's favorite create a character mode is back. What I really like about the create a character mode in this game compared to the other games is there's a lot more stuff you can actually use to customize your character with. Different outfits, different shoes,
Different hats?
even different hats. You can even have an eye patch. You can even create every single attribute of your character, from the voice.
Okay,
Let's get this over with.
care to dance with me?
Are you ready?
You look nice and let's get. So you will you fight me?
To the size of your arms, or even one specific feature I want to do for the girls.
Bow chicka
Wow wow! Come on, we're guys!
He did it, not me.
So overall, it's a really cool feature.
I have to disagree with you on this one as well. Even though you create an awesome looking character, it copies a fighting style of a character in the roster. Yeah, I wanted to be able to customize my own fighting style a bit. Come on, it's a fighting game. Shouldn't I be able to do that by now?
I agree with you. I kind of wish that you can change the fighting style.
And the best thing about creating your own character is the online. You can take your character online.
Speaking of, the online mode is back. Smoother than ever, no more lag that we encountered too many times, and it's a lot easier to find players from all over the world. What's cool about the new online mode is instead of just getting a player match and a regular rank match, now there's also lobbies that you can fight people from all over the world. And one of the best features about it is that if you fought against a guy that was kicking your ass and you want to have revenge against that guy, well, you can make him your rival.
Yeah, and by making it your rival, you can actually keep up with this guy's stats, seeing how many times he's lost, how many times he's won. And also, you can check out his replays.
That's another cool thing. Every fight you do in the online mode, the game saves it as a replay, and you can download all your replays and your opponent's replays. So that way you can learn different tactics.
Heck to the yeah.
My, you look like fun.
This game looks absolutely sweet. It's not as glossy as Soul Calibur 4. The stages look great. The characters look great. Come on, Patroclus, you can actually see the little furs of his armor. Whatever the hell that is.
It's like a ferret, I think, or some kind of a roadkill.
Yeah,
if there were roadkill back then, I mean, I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, you're wearing roadkill. Awesome, dude.
The only flaw of the graphics, I would say, are the stages themselves. Not from a technical standpoint, so to say, but from an artistic standpoint. The stages look very boring and drab, and nothing really stands out. In fact, a lot of the stages seem to be repeat, only with a different color scheme.
Yeah, only some of these stages are a bit interesting where you switch between the top floor to the bottom floor, but other than that, there are only a few of them, and there's not really big of a change.
On the other end of the spectrum, we of course have the sound.
First of all, the music. This time around, the soundtrack is made by both Japanese and Western composers. Some even worked on Dragon Age. Not too shabby. Some tracks stand out really well, especially Raphael and Algol's theme. While the soundtrack is of quality and fits well, unfortunately it's not as memorable as the first few entries in this series. As a matter of fact, I found myself going to the PSN store, buying older tracks from those games, rather than using this game as a soundtrack.
In my point of view, I actually liked a bit of the soundtrack. I actually love more the Ezio de Torres mix.
You're biased.
Hey, I love that game, dude!
Yeah, and the voice acting also works pretty well. Again, what's your problem?
Shiva.
Though a lot of the cast members are professional voice actors, like we mentioned. They have Yuri Lowenthal voice Patroclus, and they also have actors like Roger Craig Smith, who is not only the voice actor for Sonic the Hedgehog, but he also voices Siegfried in this game, and your favorite character, Ezio.
Heck yeah!
So there's a lot of good cast members. The problem is with them is that they have to work with an abysmal screenwriting, and the stuff they utter at times, well...
Justice will prevail!
How should you put this, Edgemaster?
Weak.
You're right! That guy's so smart, isn't he?
I know, he's awesome.
I know, right? He should be a commentator.
Heck yeah.
You are enthralled to your emotions. You must master them.
So overall, Namco took what didn't work in Soul Calibur 4 and made a much better and cohesive fighting game in Soul Calibur 5. The fighting is really fun, and although the story mode and some of the characters they chose didn't really pan out as well, overall, it's a decent fighting game.
Yeah, it fights really well, it looks really good, and it sounds, well, good as well.
So what are you gonna give it?
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, well, I'm gonna weigh in at 7.5. On the positive side, the game's fighting system is a lot better than the previous games, with many new features. It's still fun to play against friends, online and offline. The game looks and sounds great. and the character customization mode is really fun to mess around with.
On the negatives, a really horrible story mode, questionable dialogue, and the lack of tutorial mode here really makes it hard for newcomers to really enjoy this game.
So, it was a great game, was it?
It was awesome.
This is BladeBlur.
GamingGardener.
See you next time.